¿Usted pidió venir aquí? ¿Para qué?
Pues, quizá estoy loco. ¡Órale, apúrense! No tenemos mucho tiempo.
Pero, ¿qué les pasó a las bancas?
No son bancas, son botes salvavidas. Y no están en el piso, es el océano. Cada bote puede llevar solamente el mismo número de personas. Somos 23 y solo hay 6 botes. Ahí cuéntenle. ¿Listos? ¡Venga! 5, 4, 3...
¿Qué demonios pasa aquí?
¡Ahí hay un último pasajero! ¡Sálvenlo! ¡Vamos! ¡Apúrense!
I am so grateful for your time today. I watched the film last night and still recovering. I would say is a good word for it. It's truly an amazing accomplishment. I want to just start with kind of like the blandest question, but also what I think is kind of the most interesting one, which is, you know, you've done so many projects throughout your time. What was it about this one specifically that really kind of drew you in and made you want to do this film?
Well, you know, first of all, the fact that there are so many negative news about my country in the news all over the place. You're always watching how many deaths were yesterday, or the amount of violence that is in our country right now. And I wanted to tell a different story. I mean, I don't want to hide the reality. Of course, that exists, but there's another Mexico. There's another Mexicans, and there are people like Sergio, this teacher who has a great project, who are positive people who are trying to make a change in their world. And I wanted to tell a story like that it's inspiring to everyone, and that makes you have hope in the world again. So I found that it was a beautiful story that needs to be told.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, like, you know, I have 2 kids myself. I think anybody that has children is going to watch this and be very affected by it, because it does speak to, I think, the basic human instinct is that you want the best for your children. But sometimes circumstances just don't allow for that. Does it? Or like it clouds what can be best for our children. And specifically the film has so much to think about the way we teach children. So was there anything in like the process of making this film that kind of maybe challenged or surprised, like how you used to, or how you thought about that before you made it to when you were actually making it?
Well, yeah, I learned that education, for example, hasn't changed in the last 100 years. I didn't know that. I mean, the world has changed so much in the last 20, 30 years. We never imagined that we would have cell phones or computers or all this technology that we have nowadays. But education-wise, it's been the same system, the same way they sit in a classroom facing to the front, and there's the professor in front, the figure of authority, and shut up, sit down, raise your hand. All that has been the same for 100 years. And I think it's time to make a change. Stop making kids just memorize like parrots and repeat things. Sergio was teaching them how to think by yourself. Curiosity is probably more powerful than anything else. And he was always trying to make them curious. Why the boats float? Why this, what that? Ask me questions instead of being the silence and learn this and memorize that. I think that was really a very important message in the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that in the movie, there's so many times where you show the after effects of just that simple act of curiosity, you know, like just having the whole thing about the boat, and then these little instances of like, oh, we're throwing something in the water. It does float. Why is that? And you're right. Like it just inspired me, this case, just like how we can get kids to, you know, explore their minds and explore the way in which that they interact with their world. And it doesn't have to be, you know, what's this date? What's this? You know, like what's this principle? Like showing it out there. It was such an inspirational part of this movie. And, you know, I recently just got done myself directing a show with a stage show with kids. So I understand what an amazing process that can be. Talk to me a little bit about working with this incredible young cast here of these kids that really you and them are most of this movie. What was it like working with them?
It was amazing, but at the same time, it's challenging. It's complicated because I learned that you need to connect with them Because I was not a kid person at all many years ago. Not many, like when I did a movie called La Misma Luna was the first time, and I was really afraid of working with a kid because I was not a kid person. And then the director told me, you need to bond with him. You need to make a lot of bonding time off screen. I was like, off screen? I mean, what are you talking about? And she was like, yeah, take him for an ice cream or something. And I was like, okay. And then I learned that connecting with them off screen, it's more important than what you do on screen. And it was like a 24/7 job, honestly, because as soon as you arrive to makeup at 6 a.m., you need to start playing with them, playing all the time. And it was very, very important for the scenes to be friends. And I was very happy because after 2 weeks of working with the kids, one day, one of the kids told me, I'm not going to say who, but he said, hey, now that we're friends, how can I conquer this girl? I won't start dating her.
No way. It's like the movie.
Finally, I made it. I'm a real friend for them. So it was very, very interesting. And it was very inspiring for me to work with them.
Yeah, you're right about the challenge aspect, but also the reward aspect of that. Definitely. Obviously Sergio is such an inspiring character in this. I do love, though, that there is complication there, and there is, like, the tend in these kind of movies is to make the hero such a, has it all together thing. They've got all the answers, and just ask me the questions and stuff. But Sergio goes through his own stuff here, and he's looking for meaning a lot in this film, just as much as the kids are. Was that kind of an extra challenging aspect of this part for you, that you kind of have to play that directional person for these kids, but also he's dealing with his own stuff?
Absolutely, because he told me, I had the chance to talk with him, and he was telling me, I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, yeah. I mean, I just wanted to make a change. I knew that the kids were not learning. I knew that the system was not working, that I was not being a good teacher, and I wanted to change. But then I didn't know how. So I started watching videos on YouTube, and then I was like kind of like trying different stuff, but I didn't have the answers. And for me, that was really interesting. And we wanted to bring all that into the movie. It was more he was hungry of making a change, and he was more hungry than afraid of failing. And he was like, I don't care if I fail, but I want to at least try. And that for me was really important and inspiring, of course.
Yeah, and I think that's probably, if I would bring one line out of this movie, it is like, it doesn't really matter if you fail or succeed as long as you try. Because we spend so much time with these kids and like the circumstances that surround, okay, this is why somebody would not be learning. This is why somebody would not be interested in schooling. But the film really does turn it into this whole thing about like, but this is what can inspire you to do something more, and to do better. And I love the stats at the end that say like, it does work, and just like try new things, and it doesn't matter. I wanted to close out here because obviously Sergio is such an inspirational figure. I know you've talked about this in the past, but was there a teacher when you were growing up that was like this person, that like, because everybody I feel like has one that is just like the inspiring person that they think like that's where it like all clicked for me? Was there one of those for you?
Yeah. There was a teacher when I was in high school, that he was my law teacher, and he was tough, and he was kind of demanding, but he was funny, and we love that from him. And his class was always fun, and we never wanted to skip his class, even though he was tough. But the fact that he was always like making jokes and in a very strange way, because he was not a funny guy, but he was like, it was weird, but so and at the beginning I didn't like him because he was very demanding, but then I learned that it was because he cared. So when a teacher is tough with you, it's because he cares. When he's demanding, it's because he cares. So at the end, I understood that he was a very nice guy, and now I really miss him, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, Eugenio, the film Radical, it's so amazing. I encourage everybody to see it. It's going to inspire you. It's going to make you want to make the world a better place, as Sergio did. And of course, as all of you did who made this film, it is a better place for this film being out there. So just thank you very much for it. And thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much. And November 3rd, again, you should take everyone to the theaters. This is based on a true story, so don't miss it. And thank you, Jeremy, for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.